Hi everyone, welcome back to the Crypto News Network. I'm Avery.
And I'm Gina.
And if you're new to this channel, we discuss the latest in cryptocurrency and cover breaking news in the blockchain space.
On today's episode, we have a huge announcement from Golem. After a ton of work, Golem, one of the most highly anticipated Ethereum dApps, has gone live on the Ethereum mainnet with its Golem Brass beta.
Golem came flying into the blockchain scene in late 2016, raising $8 million in an ICO that lasted 30 minutes, reaching their hard cap of 820,000 Ether, which is now valued around $330 million, and at its peak in Ether's price was valued over $1 billion.
Golem came into the space with an innovative idea around CPU sharing, calling themselves the Airbnb for computers, where users rent CPU power and get paid on the Golem token, GNT.
Golem plans on being the first truly decentralized supercomputer working to create a global market for computing power. It will combine flexible tools to aid developers in securely distributing and monetizing their software. Golem altogether plans on changing the way that computing tasks are organized and executed.
What Golem does is connect computers in a peer-to-peer network, enabling both application owners and individual users, referred to as requesters, to rent resources of providers' machines.
Additionally, any interested party will be free to create and deploy software to the Golem network by publishing it to an application registry. Together with the transaction framework, developers can also extend and customize the payment mechanism, creating unique mechanisms for monetizing software.
It's important to note that in the current ecosystem of cloud computing, the industry is dominated by a few extremely large players, such as Google, Amazon, IBM, and Microsoft. These large companies are able to leverage their control over the industry to ensure high margins and inefficiently priced computing services.
I think the most interesting thing that Golem will enable is access to hardware. With all the innovation in computational hardware, there also comes a hefty price tag. Golem will be able to break down this socioeconomic barrier to high-performance hardware. Now someone who may not have the money to build a performance desktop can pay a small fee and be able to execute the same quality of work.
I personally think the socioeconomic point is pretty interesting. For example, people at my university in engineering often have issues with 3D modeling using old university computers and personal laptops. With Golem, someone could build an application to tackle that specific use case, helping the efficiency of engineering tasks.
Exactly. And going off of that, I think the monetization structure is quite interesting. It's illustrated in the white paper that Golem will find its niche with vastly varied applications, such as that engineering use case. With that in mind, it's not really possible or in Golem's best interest to make a one-size-fits-all payment system. So if a developer were to create a solution with Golem, that developer can also decide on the transaction model. As long as it's compliant with Golem's transaction framework, it's good, and then the market can decide whether or not to use it.
With this first mainnet release, Golem Brass focuses on the single use case of CGI rendering using CPU power. As a requester in the Golem marketplace, you can distribute processing of any Blender and Lux renderer scene over the Golem network. It's as simple as downloading Golem and submitting a task for rendering, or having your hardware for service, or both.
Because this is still very early on the platform's progress, it's important to note that this thing is not perfect, and there could be some issues. On their disclosure, it states, Golem Network is highly experimental and any real ETH or GNT sent to a likely insecure software are at risk of being lost indefinitely. You acknowledge the risk of a non-payment even after 30 business days. With that being said, many new tech companies will have some sort of issues when they first start out, so I don't think it's a super big deal.
One of Golem's biggest hurdles, in my opinion, will be attracting users to the platform and growing their support of computational services on the network. Another possible weakness is the reliability of providers on the network. Because providers on the network are individuals, they can choose to come or go as they please. This could possibly affect usability.
With CPU sharing as their first use case, Golem hasn't been afraid to speak on some ambitious goals. Apart from wanting to affect the CGI rendering ecosystem, they want to investigate machine learning use cases, which is a significantly larger market size.
Because machine learning is evolving to become an integral part of the future of tech, Golem wants to democratize access to computing power at a competitive price point for that specialty. On their website, they state, "While right now we're building a simple proof of concept demonstrations, our ultimate goal is to be able to provide developers with a set of tools to enable them to host their machine learning stack on Golem."
For those paying attention to the markets today, there was quite a bit of positive movement for Golem following the announcement. Golem was ranked number 2 on its 24-hour movement on CoinMarketCap, nearing a 20% gain at the time of recording this video. It's great to see how many people are responding to the team's work.
But, you know, Avery, even with all of this momentum, Golem still has a long way to go in terms of its development. Brass was just the very first step in the mainnet development for the project. In the roadmap, there is still clay golem, stone golem, and iron golem to come.
Exactly. And expanding on that, clay golem will predominantly bring forth the task API in the application registry, which will make Golem a multi-purpose generalized computation solution. This will allow independent developers to create solutions with Golem. With that advancement, it could also pose pretty significant security risks though.
The next iteration is Stone Golem, adding security and stability with the addition of a certification mechanism for the application registry. The addition of that mechanism will allow for community-driven trust around applications and independent developers.
And finally, the Iron Golem update will be the most robust form of Golem, a highly secure, stable, and scalable solution for computing. It's important to note that transaction scaling will be directly correlated with scaling of Ethereum. If Golem is to become as robust and as used as planned, it can't be subject to network congestion of the likes of CryptoKitties.
Some have criticized the project for moving slow on its first milestone. Described in a blog post from late 2016, their CEO Julian stated that Brass Golem was scheduled tentatively for May 2017. Instead of the 6-month expected rollout, it took nearly 17 months. But it's not uncommon in software development for project timelines to be underestimated, especially a project with this level of complexity.
Criticism aside, it's great to see such an innovative project execute on its plans. I personally really like Golem, and the team has been working hard to make everything work out.
Let's hear from you guys on this. What do you think of the Golem mainnet launch? Have any of you used it yet? Do you think it could be as revolutionary as everyone wants it to be? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks everyone, and we'll see you again next time.